everyone. I am back with story number 17 in my December daily, and this one is going to be about wrapping presents. I wrap presents, I don't know, a couple days before Christmas. I like to wrap them a little bit before Christmas, not like the day before, because then I can enjoy the little wrap presents under the Christmas tree. So I did wrap them a couple days before Christmas. And I wanted to include the wrapping paper that I used this year in the layout. And I'm going to fussy cut out all these pieces. I love the paper with the mice. I think they're so freaking adorable. This is a pocket on the bottom. I didn't mention that, but there's a pocket on the bottom. And I want to kind of use them kind of peeking up and then the photo like I'm doing there tucked in. And because it's wrapping paper, they're super thin. So I'm going to pull out some scrap cardstock and I'm going to glue these guys with a glue stick because it is thin paper to these pieces of cardstock and then fussy cut around each of the mice. Now, if I would have thought about this earlier, I would have glued them down before I initially fussy cut them. One, because it's more work to fussy cut twice, but two, it just is a little easier to make sure that I don't have that yellow showing through of the cardstock. But it's fine. I didn't know that ahead of time that I was going to have to do that or that I was thinking about putting them on the pocket like that, and that's fine. So you can see here I'm just smoothing it out using my glue stick, and then I will fussy cut around all of these images. And then they're going to hold up a lot better on that pocket. So you can see there that everything is backed up. I don't end up using that little Christmas tree, which is fine. And I'm just kind of flattening these guys out a little bit. They're curling because of the glue. And I didn't want them directly on the paper. I wanted to add a little bit of a base for them. So I'm going to go through my paper collection and pick out one that I think looks nice, which I end up pulling that blue polka dot one. This is from Busy Sidewalks, I think is the collection. So I'm going to trim a strip out. Now it's not long enough, which is fine. I'm going to improvise. So I'm going to cut a strip and then I'm going to kind of roughly measure and then cut another strip and then make it long enough to cover the whole bottom. And then it ends up getting covered the seam with one of the mice. So it works perfectly. And then no one really will tell the difference. Plus, no one's really looking at your scrapbooks that closely to even notice, even if I didn't cover it up probably with a mouse. So I'm just going to trim this out. I love this little Creative Memories trimmer. It's super handy. I wish it was a little bit bigger because it is pretty small. Obviously, the paper has to be pretty small to be able to trim it. But you can see here, I'm just butting it up here and I'm going to use a pencil to mark it and then I'm going to trim it out. And then I'll use a piece of tape to hold everything together until it glues down to the layout. So I hope you guys are doing well today. If you are still working on your December daily or moving on, let me know what you guys are currently working on. Love to hear from you guys. I believe I'm going to be sharing up to about story number 21. The last couple of days of December, at least the last couple of days before Christmas and during Christmas, I'm doing off camera. I just am kind of at the point where I just want to get this project done. I don't feel like I need, or I not, don't feel like, but I don't really feel like. Yeah, I don't feel like filming it. I just want to kind of work through it, and I'm working on it in little bitty spurts, so it's just harder to film and then put everything together. So I'm not going to share that as far as like the process videos, but I should be have or be, yeah, I should have time to share a flip through of everything. So you'll end up seeing it. You just won't see the process of me making those pages, but that's fine. I mean, it's mostly Christmas Eve and Christmas Day that I'm doing off camera, and there are quite a few pictures those days, but again, I'm just really doing it in spurts now that I'm back at work full time and not on vacation. It's just harder to do it in a long session. And again, it's just harder to set my camera up and tie everything together. So you'll see that in the flip through though. Now, I really like how that looks. I like the contrast of the green polka dots. And now I'm going to glue all these little guys on and the seams covered up and now they're all glued on and I think that's super cute. I have a picture of myself with the presents and I'm going to use that little deer there. Again, I'm going to back him as well because I'm going to have him kind of off the right hand side of the page just a little bit. So it's going to stick there and I like how it kind of tucks there by the side of my body. And this is just a nice way to incorporate some of your paper in your layouts. Now, if it was more of a full pattern paper that didn't have like these images, you could totally just use that as like the background paper, pretend like it's like scrapbook paper and use it that way. But I do like that these images were kind of bold and it was easy to fussy cut and they had some defined edges. So I decided to fussy cut them. Now here, I should have used like a coffee dye paper instead of that yellow cardstock because some of the antlers and part of the ear are going to be sticking out the right hand side. So hindsight is 2020. So I ended up having to back this a little bit with some of the coffee dye paper, and you can see there I had it on some of the tips of the ears or the antlers, I'm sorry. So I did that, and I did that off camera because that was really boring to watch. And now when it glues down, when you see the back of it, you're not going to see the yellow cardstock. So should have done that in the first place. You live and you learn. Don't do what I do. Make sure you back it if it's going to be peeking over the edge on something that you want to see on the other side. So everything's getting glued down now. I really like how this looks. I think it's super cute. Then I have this picture of my cat. She was hanging out with me while I was wrapping presents, and she's super cute. She's my old girl. She actually lives with my daughter in the basement. She's not a fan of the other critters, of the other cats. So she likes to kind of just hang out by herself. With my daughter moving in the basement, then she really just is hanging out with her. And the basement is pretty big, like my daughter's room is pretty big. And when I was scrapbooking, she wanted to come out of her room. And so she was hanging out with me and wrapping presents with me. I think I said scrapbooking, but I meant wrapping presents. So now I wanted to add a little bit more to this page. So I punch out this tab with my Stampin' Up! Tab punch. And I like that it kind of goes along with that background page that I put under the mice. So I'm just going to glue this down, and then I am going to work on the back of the photo. I was thinking now I did all this, and where am I going to put my journaling? So I end up putting that journaling on the back of the photo, and you'll see that here in a little bit. I'm going to actually use some coffee dyed paper and kind of decorate it up and then add that so that when you pull that out, it has something on the back of it. So this is a nice way to hide your journaling. Like say if you don't like your handwriting or you just want to have somewhat sort of more hidden journaling, definitely putting it on the back of the photo and using it as kind of a tag or a tab or a journaling spot works really nicely because then it's there, but it's not like showing on the actual page, especially maybe like on this page where I didn't have a lot of room. This is a perfect solution to get your journaling on, but not necessarily compromise some of the space that you have on the page or having to print your picture smaller, things like that. So I just added that sticker from this sticker book to the tab. I felt like I just needed a little bit more. And I'm looking around to see what else I want to maybe stick on here. I end up pulling one more or a word strip here, and I'm going to put it down by the foot of that yellow, or not yellow, pink mouse. And it says Santa's Workshop. I thought that was good for the pictures of us wrapping, or not us. My cat really wasn't wrapping. I was wrapping, but so I like that Santa's Workshop. I want to do a couple more things. I think I'm going to pull two more pieces of, or two more stickers. I have this little cluster of trees, and then I'm going to pull another phrase sticker, or no, a label. It's going to be a label sticker. So I'm going through my stash of die cuts that I had. These are either graphic, or not graphic 45, but 49th in Maine or Tim Holtz. I can't remember which one's which, but I'm trying to go through here and see what else I can add to the page. I didn't really like that really blank spot on the left-hand side of the photo of me, so I'm trying to find something that's going to look nice up at the top. And so I ended up using that label. Just going through all of these, trying to figure out what will look nice to use. So you get to see me rifling around on this. While I do that, I wanted to say thanks again for joining me. I can't remember if I said at the beginning of the video or not. I'm doing quite a bit of voiceovers today, so they're kind of blending all together. And I just want to say thanks for joining me today. If you are enjoying this video, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up. And if you're not already a subscriber, I'd love for you to subscribe. The more interaction we have on these videos, the better I am able to expand out to other folks to see me. So I really appreciate all your support and comments that you've left over the years and over the last couple of days. Thank you so much. So here I'm just kind of going through a couple ones I pulled out, trying to figure out what I like, and I end up ultimately going with that label here, that red one. So I, of course, used what I initially pulled out. I do that a lot. I don't know if you do you guys do that a lot where it's like you pull something out and you're like, oh, do I really want to use this? And then you like go through all of your stuff and then you find out you pull a bunch of other things and you're like, oh no, I just went with my original. So I wonder, do you guys do that a lot? I tend to do that. I second guess myself and then I end up going with my original thought in the first place. So here I wanted to tuck this label behind these strips, but it was not coming up because they're pretty stuck down and it's that wrapping paper. So I'm going to carefully use my little Cricut tool here to peel up the stickers. And because I have the label, it didn't really matter if I ripped the paper a little bit because it was going to get covered up with the label. But I am still being careful. So you can see there that I'm going to finagle with that a little bit until it's up enough that I can add the label down. And then I just like how that cluster looks a lot better. And I am kind of trimming the edges. I didn't like the sharpness of the corners. And I'm going to glue it down with just some of my tape runner. And you can see how I pulled up the paper there, but it's all going to get covered up, so it's no big deal. And then I'm going to add a little word strip, I think, above that Santa's workshop. My story number is going to go on this part. I am going to back the top of this because I am going to have this peeking over the top edge of the page. So I wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to be just the white on the background. I wanted something more cream. So this is just a scrap of coffee dyed paper that I had. I'm just gluing this on the back so that when everything lays down, you see that from the back side. All right, so I'm really happy with how this is looking. And now I got my numbers. I had to go through my stash. I love these cork numbers. They're really cute. I didn't really like how the 17 was all one number. So I'm going to split it up and just trim it very carefully. And I just like how it looks better when they're like two independent pieces, I guess. I just think that looks nicer. So I decided to cut it apart and then I'm going to glue it together. Or not glue it together, but glue it to the little label. Kind of defeat the purpose if I glued it back together after cutting it apart. So I like how that looks better. Let me know. Do you guys agree? I just think it looks better. I didn't like how it was. A lot of these ones that I have, I just keep them together, but for some reason the 17 just looked funny connected. So I cut it apart. Just a lesson that you do not have to keep it the way it was. You can definitely modify it to fit your needs. So you can cut your stickers in half, you can trim your things apart, you can cut off a piece of your sticker you don't want. Don't feel like you have to keep it exactly the way it is. Here's that word strip that I'm going to be adding. I believe I'm going to put it in the top, yep, up there in that section. It fits perfectly. Just going to ink around it before I glue it down. Wrapping the gifts, perfect sentiment. And then I'm going to pull one more, I believe, to put in that bottom right cluster, I think. Oh, I was pointing at cozy up by the fire because I actually had a picture of the fire and I didn't remember that I had that little sticker. Could have used it on another page. All good though. Just use it for next time. Going through this little book here, trying to find a phrase sticker here, and this is where I believe I'm going to be pulling a green sticker strip to add. There we go. I think it says home for the holidays, I believe. Yep, home for the holidays. And I like how thin it is, and I think it looks nice in that cluster. So now I'm going to work on this journaling card, basically. And I typed this up on my typewriter and left a lot of blank space all around the edges because I want to embellish all around this. And then this is going to be glued to the back of that photo. So I'm using this sticker sheet that I have here from Simple Stories. This is the one that I bought this year for December Daily. I love the sticker. It's very retro, kind of 50s, I guess. And I absolutely love that motif. Like anything antique from the 50s, any images from the 50s, that's like probably my favorite kind of era, especially like with junk journaling or the vintage finds that I buy at the thrift store or the antique markets, things like that. Always that 50s kind of vibe. Just really like that a lot. Are you guys collectors of like antiques and vintage items? If you are, let me know. Like, what is your era? Do you like really like antiques, like super old? Do you like more kitschy? Do you like 70s, 80s? Let me know in the comments below, kind of if you are a collector of things, or even with your junk journaling, what is kind of your era? Do you have a specific era that you like best? I really like these ornaments and I think they frame this journaling spot pretty well. So I added those on here and I always like clusters of three. And then I'm going to add that no peeking because I'm wrapping presents. So I thought that was appropriate. I want to add something to the bottom. So I'm going to pull this a sticker out and I'm going to trim it up and then I'm going to use part of it on the bottom. And then I have a little scrap left and I'm going to cut it into a little flag shape and put it up there with the no peeking rectangle piece of sticker or sticker. I don't know why I keep saying piece of sticker. I think I've said that a couple times, maybe not in this video, but in other videos. But I like the strip. I like the colors that are on it. So I'm going to add that there. Like I said, I'm going to trim a little piece off and then I'll make that little flag shape and put it up there, the no peeking. I flipped it over. I find that when I cut these things, I'm trying to find the middle. If I have a lot of design on the front, it's really hard to get it even. And if I flip it over where it's all plain, I have a tendency to be able to cut it much better um, than trying to eyeball where um, the pattern is. So I'm just going to trim this down just a little bit so it's a little easier to manage. And then I have those kind of guidelines on there. I did that so that I could make sure I stayed within the lines when I was decorating it, but then also that's going to help me kind of glue everything down. I wanted that tab to be over this page instead of tucked underneath it, so I am going to gently peel it up a bit, and then I'm going to glue this entire journaling spot on top of this photo, and then I will trim out just to make sure it lines up easily. And sorry, I'm shaking the camera a bit by trying to do that. Apologies. But now by peeling that up a little bit, I'm able to tuck that under. Now I did use liquid glue, so it was a little bit more difficult, but it ended up working out just fine. And again, you're not going to see any of that because I'm going to be covering it up. So here I'm just carefully tucking that up there till it's even, and then I will glue all the way around the rest of the page. And then trim it out as well. So really like how this looks. You definitely could have placed it down on this photo before you embellished it, but I just, for whatever reason, decided to embellish it off of the photo. No good reason. That's just what I did. Sometimes, I don't know if you guys do this too, but sometimes I like to make things more complicated. I'm like, oh, let's do it like this. And it actually ends up being like way more complicated than it could have been or needed to be. It ends up working out in the end, but I'm like, why did I do it like that? That was like really silly. I could have done this and it would have taken me 2 seconds as opposed to 20 minutes. But that's just how we roll sometimes. No big deal. So just trimming that out, and really that's pretty much it. I'm going to erase some of the pencil lines that are still showing after I trim it out. I'm going to tuck that in. I think I have a few other little things that I'm going to be doing, but that's pretty much all. And I have, like I said, more videos coming up to about story number 21. So you will see me again. I'll have the next video posted relatively soon. So hopefully you guys will join me for that one as well. If you have any questions, leave those in the comments below. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'm just going to ink around here and that's pretty much it. The photos are at the end. So I will talk to you guys again very soon. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Bye.